in the courtroom as Kevin Costner faces his soon-to-be ex-wife. Christopher Melcher's there live. Let's break it down. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. We've covered the Kevin Costner divorce. It's gotten crazy as Christine, his ex-wife, is now fighting for more custody, and things are getting ugly. And Christopher, you are there live in the court today, right? Today and tomorrow is when they are facing off to figure out what this support will be?
Absolutely, Andy. I've been here today, and tomorrow is a hearing over the amount of child support that's appropriate for this couple. There is bells going on in the background here. This is a beautiful courtroom here, by the way, courthouse. People are getting married and divorced at the same place. But what's happening here for today in the Costner case is that right now she's getting about $125,000 a month in child support that's based formulaically on his income. And Kevin's saying, hey, that's obviously way, way too much, wants the court to set support instead based on what they need. So that's what this two-day hearing is about. Christine is saying, hey, you know, Kevin's income is so high, it actually should be $161,000 a month. So she's trying to get more support. There's no way that's happening. This judge, in my view, is going to reduce support back down to what these children actually need. It's going to be a boatload of money, but it's nothing like she's seeking.
So he's there now. What's his demeanor like in there? Does he seem frustrated? Does he seem patient? Or do you see any fireworks fuming between them? What are your thoughts as you're watching this go down?
Sure. So as typical, they're seated far away from each other, separated by a legion of lawyers. And, you know, this is really embarrassing for any couple to go through, to have to break up in a public way, not being able to resolve the dispute, having to have lawyers and judges do this, and obviously with the press attention, very embarrassing. He's definitely fidgety and, you know, looking towards her direction. She's not engaging with him. So again, this is really the last thing that any of us would want to see for ourselves. And then especially to have all of these really personal details of their life exposed in court.
Yeah, so what you suspect the judge, though, is going to lower the payment, because as obviously the public has reacted, they think she is definitely asking for too much. Granted, he does make a lot. That's sort of how this works, especially out there in California, as you are the expert. But you would agree, and this is too much. The judge is seemingly, the way the questions are going, what's making you realize or suspect that the judge is going to side with Kevin in lowering the payments?
Well, because Christine is just really unaware of herself, I think, and has consistently made bad decisions in the litigation and showed herself as really being greedy when it was unnecessary to take these extreme measures, because Kevin has a lot of money and a lot of income. They had a 20-year marriage, you know, so this wasn't a short marriage. They've got kids together. There's going to be substantial child support ordered. Kevin has proposed something in the $50,000 or $60,000 a month range. You know, and obviously that is a huge amount of money. It's more than most families have to live on for a year. Now, yep. That's not the standard in California. The children have the right to live at their parents' lifestyle according to how they are able to pay. And so Kevin has enormous sums. And in my view, this judge is going to set support probably in around the $75,000 a month range. I know a lot of people are probably saying that's ridiculous. You know, I got divorced. I only got $500 a month in support or whatever. Every case is different. And in California, we are very used to having large child support orders. I've had these, in my cases, numerous times. So that's nothing out of the ordinary for a person who makes over $1.5 million per month. So if you just think about that level of income, yeah. And yes, she benefits from it, absolutely, but it's their kids. So this is for them primarily to have a house to live in out here in, you know, this area. You know, easily talk $30,000 or $40,000 a month just for a rental of a house. So you start adding that up, we're probably at about $75,000 a month is my guess. And what's going to happen, though, in my view, is that she's going to have to pay back the support that she's been receiving in excess of that amount since July 1. So this could be a huge bill that she has to pay. And at the end, her lawyers will make a lot of money, but she comes out looking badly and, yes, with a lot of support. But this didn't need to go there.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money, no offense, everyone spends on these lawyers, and that's what ultimately happens. It all goes to the lawyers when really you could just sit there amicably, try to sort this out through mediation, through what it is. But yeah, it gets crazy. Well, there's reports coming in that Christina's committed relentless jihad in the divorce against him. He also apparently threw in that there's some new boyfriend that's been throwing in thousands of dollars in cash. Apparently this came in. Is that relevant? Does it matter? She's denying, saying they're not together. But this idea that Kevin's team seemingly was floating here with this alleged boyfriend, Josh, that he's been paying up to $20,000 and then $100,000 to pay for his lawyers. Can that factor into this equation too? And in this sort of these boyfriend paying for everything excuses, can that work in Kevin's favor or no?
Well, sure. It's coming in. It is relevant because she's saying she doesn't have money to pay her lawyers, and she's asking for an additional $800,000+ for lawyers and accounting fees in this motion. But obviously he's bringing that in there to potentially influence the judge. I don't think that it will. I think certainly the relationship there with this other gentleman is something that is highly personal and disturbing between the two of them. But it has nothing to do with how much money per month these children need to live off.
Yeah, clearly, but that's part of the game too, is sort of unnerving each other, putting things out there. It's really not anyone's business at this point. But then it's apparently his friend. Could that have been where some of these issues came between them? Who knows? But what we know is Kevin's claiming that he should be paying $63,000 a month. She's asking for $248,000 a month, which is just insane to think. And that's the other thing I've noticed in these claims from TMZ and the people reporting there. Tell me if you heard this or agree. But Costner says it's Christine who's been engaged in these baseless character attacks. She's more than capable of getting a job. She has no plans to seek employment or engage in any income-generating activity, and demanding that she just wants the child support so she doesn't have to work again. So, I mean, that does seem to be a common thing that happens, sadly, is in California. This is supposed to be child support, not spousal support. And it does seem like she's asking for a large amount, which it's hard to justify. Well, how's that helping the kids? Does he have a point here? Do you think the judge will, does her ability to work factor into these in California or not really?
Well, sure. In a normal case, absolutely. That would be really important to know what her earning capacity is, and can she have a job when she has, 3 kids. These are all teenagers. So, the childcare responsibility is maybe less, and she would need to pay for childcare if she were to work full time, which would reduce her earning capacity. But in many cases, that is important because we have not enough money to go around, and every bit matters to contribute towards the support of children. And here, this is completely irrelevant. Even if she worked full time, it would be a drop in the bucket for her contribution towards support. They had a incredible lifestyle. You're talking about $1 million a month. It was reported in court today. I haven't verified those numbers, but they have a very high flying lifestyle. If she could go work and make $100,000 a year or something like that, even if she could, after child care was deducted, it would be a drop in the bucket. So I think that's a weak sauce argument. What's really going on is we just have to simply add up how much they need for a house in this area, and food, clothing, entertainment, travel, maybe a little security, stuff like that. We come up with a budget. We do this all the time. It's going to come up to around $75,000 a month, maybe a little bit more. And that's just what we're looking for. And that's the argument she should be raising. But instead, she's going with this formulaic approach, saying plug in $1.5 million per month in income for Kevin, and have the Disso Master, our computer, spit out a number for support. It's a ridiculous argument. The judge is never going to buy that.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's the point. A lot of people go, why should she pay this or whatnot? But the reality is it's the cost of living. It's what she's been used to. That's sort of how this works, is when she's in an income that they're spending $1 million a month. The children are now accustomed to that. That's why I guess California allows this, because of these high income families. Is that really for folks out there who are like, Christopher, this is insane. $250,000, $100,000 a month for kids. Like, what on earth? How does this work? Is that why the law is set to protect these partners so they can continue that style of lifestyle that they've been accustomed to?
Well, sure. And this is only child support. So it's set up to protect the children, to make sure that children are supported in a standard that's similar to what, their station in life of their father and what the father can pay for. And, here he has a lot of money and he had an incredible lifestyle. So support needs to reflect that. And he's not even disputing that. He's throwing out a number of $50,000 to $60,000 a month himself is what he's proposing.
Right.
the support should be in addition to paying for their tuition and everything else. So he's not denying that. And certainly if it weren't this case and she was going to have to go rent an apartment or something like that, sure, many people have to do that. But here, there's so much money involved that she should, while she has custody of these minor children, have a lifestyle that was similar to what they had during because otherwise the children could potentially have drastically different lives when they're with dad in the beachfront compound, multiple homes and Aspen and all this stuff when they're with dad. But then when they're with mom, they would be, in some, apartment or something like that, sleeping on bunk beds. So, hey, many people do that and that's just fine. And children do perfectly well in that environment. But here there's enough money to pay for it. Really, the issue is how much of this is going to the kids versus how much is going to Christine. And that's where I part company with her position, because I see this as a cash grab rather than what's truly needed for these kids.
But that's also common. The lawyers are there trying to get the best they can. The question is, will the judge fall for it? In your instance, it's not your expertise based on what you're watching. She's not going to fare well. Any other thoughts or then opinions on this? Anything else crazy happened in the courtroom today that the folks should know about?
No, I mean, it's, he's present in the courtroom as he kind of needs to be. Like I say, this is, I don't want to exploit this stuff. This is, highly personal, terrible what they're going through. It's really unnecessary. We do see a lot of celebs who are really role models for the rest of us on how to resolve things, because they don't fight and they settle quickly because it's in their best interest to do that. This is one of the rare cases where they're fighting and the kids suffer because this is a small community. Their parents are very well known. This is all over the headlines. And again, we don't want to exploit or add to that, but their parents are doing this. And again, my criticism is for Christine, because Kevin is coming out saying, hey, I will pay $16,000 a month plus tuition, everything else. And she is forcing it to court saying, no, it needs to be now $161,000 a month. And it's a ridiculous fight that didn't need to happen.
The numbers don't add up. That's where it's at. So it'll be interesting to see what this plays. So we'll know tomorrow. The judge will make its verdict tomorrow on what the amount is, and then that puts this to bed.
Yeah, on child support. And then in November, the next fight is over the premarital agreement. So under the prenup, she limited her right to support for about $1 million lump sum payment. She says that that's unconscionable. It's way too low. Kevin has tendered the payment to her. I think she's refused to accept it. So there's going to be a fight over that. And the problem is that if she loses, she is required to pay her own attorney's fees plus Kevin's attorney's fees. And she may be, quote, stuck with $1 million support payment and have to see all of that money and more go to the attorneys. So she is playing a very dangerous game here.
And probably something Kevin's fine with at that point. He's like, if I'm going to lose it, I'd rather give it to the lawyers at this point, it seems, because he does not seem happy with her. So we'll see how this goes. It's definitely sad for the kids that it's out there. But again, you're right. They've put it out there. They've caused this fight. The headlines coming in clearly from both of their teams trying to help from a PR perspective. It's sad when it has to resort to this. Thank you for the updates live from the courtroom. Guys, if you aren't following Christopher, head on over to CA_divorce. I'm sure he'll give you updates on this as it happens, and we'll get him back if there's anything else to report on. Otherwise, stay tuned to tomorrow to see what this nets out to. What do you think it is going to be? Tell us down in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for alerts, smash the thumbs up, and leave your comments. Whose side are you on here, Kevin or Christine? Who's in the right? Tell us what you think based on the facts there that you just heard. And thanks for watching here on Popcorn Planet.